When it got into it, I knew he probably was going to get killed when this thing ended because of his association with me. When the FBI decided to close the operation, I said, look, you might want to go talk to Sonny. I could have saved him if he turned and became an informant, but he didn't. So he gets called to a meeting. He gives all his money. He gives his ring. He gives his keys, except his car keys, to the bartender, and says, hey, I'm going to a sit down and I'm probably not coming back. If I don't come back, I want you to get in touch with the FBI and pass this message on to Donnie. He goes to the sit down. He gets to the house, and they to fill your audience in if they don't know. Sonny Black was a capo, a captain in the Bonanno crime family, and when he was my captain, he was one of the two guys running the family because the boss was in jail. They had killed the boss, and they had appointed a guy by the name of Russ Rastelli as boss, but he was in jail. And then there was an internal war within the Bonanno family. And the side I was with, which was Sonny Black's side, they had killed 3 capos that wanted to take over the family. And like I say, Sonny Black, even though he was a stone cold killer, he's a guy you could sit down and talk to. We had great conversation. Like I said, I used to sleep at his apartment sometimes. When it got into it, I knew, look, that he probably was going to get killed when this thing ended because of his association with me. Because he had introduced me. He actually had introduced me as a made guy. He had sent me to Florida to talk to 2 made guys and tell them that, the situation in the family. And when he had told them I was coming down, he told them that I was a made guy. So they had to sit down with me. But when the FBI decided to close the operation, I said, look, you might want to go talk to Sonny, because I knew that he had, he was reasonable. And that was one of the ways that I could have saved him if he turned and became an informant.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean, he talked about a stone cold gangster. It was Sonny Black. I mean, because he knew that he was going to his demise. My whole mind, Tegan, my thinking in these operations, look, I wasn't the cause of you becoming a gangster. You were a gangster before I got there. You were a gangster while I was associated with you, and you're probably going to stay a gangster in jail.
Yeah.
I want to see anybody get killed, but I wasn't going to go tell them while I was under. You know what I mean? That was their decision after they found out who I was, if they wanted to come over to our side. So the agents go to talk to him, and he said, if I see Donnie, then I know. The first thing he does, he calls his crew together to tell them. And then, of course, they have to, they got to report to the boss. They got to report that, hey, this, Donnie was really an undercover agent. So to tell you the type of guy Sonny was, he gets called to a meeting. They call a sit down, which is basically a meeting. And he goes into his bar, the Motion Lounge. He gives all his money. He gives his ring. He gives his keys, except his car keys, to the bartender, and says, hey, I'm going to a sit down and I'm probably not coming back.
It's intense.
Crazy, right? Right?
Yeah.
He calls his friend, his girlfriend, and tells her the same thing. And then he says, if I don't come back, I want you to get in touch with the FBI and pass this message on to Donnie. Right? So she can't dissuade him from going he goes to the sit down. He gets to the house, and they shoot him. They kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, and he knew it. He knew he wasn't coming back. Do they have guys like that today? Probably not. Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, that is staunch. That's straight gangster, right? And everybody plans on, hey, I may be in prison or jail, but I'm going to be rich in the interim. But they really don't think about that.
No.
And most people eventually will flip. And there's a lot of people that will go take a sentence if they know, hey, I'm going to go do the time.
Ruggiero did 15, you know, and he got out because he had cancer and he eventually passed away.
Yeah.
There was another one, another guy in the crew, Nicky Santoro. I think he did maybe 12 or 15, you know, did his time. But I don't know how many guys would have went to that sit down knowing that I probably not going to talk my way out of this one.
Yeah, I think you just, and that, does that lift any of the burden off of you, knowing that even though and I know this is not your fault, there's got to be a sense of, it's got to be some sense of sadness when that happens, because you wrap this up and then you had all the control over this case, and then all of a sudden the AUSAs get their hands on everything, the FBI is working, and they're wrapping it up, and then these guys, you have nothing to do with the sentencing or how they cooperate or whatever. I mean, you can try to help them understand, but was that a frustrating part of the process, dealing with that? And do you ever, ever think about him, in retrospect?
Well, like I say, I didn't want to see anybody get killed. But, my feeling was he had it, he had the shot to turn and he didn't.
Right.
He knew what the life was and he knew that he was in that life and he was going to stick to that life. Now, the same thing with Ruggiero, he could have turned, but he chose to do his time, he chose to do his time. And like I say, my whole thing was, look, I didn't choose that life for them. They chose it,
Right.
They're the ones that chose that life. And they had the shot to save themselves, but they didn't.
Yeah. And I certainly didn't mean to imply that you are responsible for that.
No, I know. Yeah.
But I know also that, you can become emotionally attached to people over a year, 2 years, let alone 6. So I just, I can't imagine,
yeah, sure.
Was it had to be traumatic for you to some extent when that happened, was it not?
Yeah, the only one I had no feelings for was Mir. That didn't bother me at all. I told you about Sonny Black, right?
Yeah.
They kill him. Okay. When it's verified that he's gone, the FBI gets a call, right? And this young lady says, I need to talk to Donnie, to Donnie Brasco. So what do you have to talk to him about? Well, it's personal. All right. They pick her up and they bring her to Washington, D.C. So myself, her, and the 2 New York agents, we go out to dinner. And she relays the story about Sonny, right? We already had known that from informants. So it's verified. This is it. It's legit. So she says, Sonny told me on that call that if I don't come back, that I'm to get in touch with you and to relay this message to you. He doesn't have any ill feelings towards you. You were just better than they were. And he wanted me to tell you that he loved you.
Wow.
That's
profound.
That's heavy,
Yeah, it's very heavy.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, you're a tough guy, but I know, you've already proven, even in some of the other things where you say, look, this kid, boosted a couple of things off a truck, but I didn't want to ruin his life for that.
Yeah,
so
right?
I know you have a heart that's gotta hit you, man.
He didn't have a sheet or anything. So what are you going to do?
Well, having a heart is why I was asking those questions about Sonny Black too, because it's gotta pain you to some degree. I'm not saying it's going to stick with you to where you can't function or anything, but tough guys have a heart too, and I think you've proven that.
Exactly.
I appreciate that about you.
I mean, probably if I wasn't in law enforcement, even though, and I still knew that Sonny Black was a mob guy, right? And I was a legit guy.
Mm-hmm.
I still would go to dinner with him. I mean, that's the kind of
Yeah.
guy he was.
It's beautiful.
Like, we didn't have to sit and talk about mob stuff. You know, we talked about his family, talked about his kids. You know, of course I had to lie about being an orphan, but you know, the stuff from him was true. You know,
Right.
so I always thought, you know, even though he was a gangster, I could still be his friend, not having anything to do with illegal activities. You know, just maybe have lunch with him or have dinner with him or something, and you know, just talk about whatever.
Yeah. So that would be the guy that, had he made it, you may have kept in touch with. If you had to pick one, that probably would have been the cat.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Or you know, if he had turned, then I would have gone and seen him.
Right.
You know, he was that type of guy. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, did he have hits under his belt? Yeah, he did. You know.